What's going on, traders? Hope everybody had a great weekend. I apologize, there was no video over the weekend for me. I was out of the office with some birthday celebrations, but now we're back in the office and we're ready to review the S&P 500. It is Monday, March 13th, and the market's ending just slightly lower, 0.14%. Final print 385.36. Now, of course, we've had a lot of interesting things going on in the news with some of those regional banks. I'm not really going to get into that too much today. There's plenty of information out there on YouTube and I'm sure Twitter going over more in depth what has been unfolding on that side of the fence. But needless to say, tons of banks were down today, 40-30%, as those concerns have gone throughout the entire sector. Now, of course, tomorrow CPI, wanted to go over a few things as far as that was concerned. Everybody's going to be looking at this print obviously tomorrow, and it looks like the baseline kind of analyst projection is around 6%. However, when I've been looking a little bit more into it, it's been interesting here that the swap market and the Cleveland Fed both indicate that the CPI report may come in higher than what the analysts are projecting. The February CPI swap trading at 6.043%. However, the Cleveland Fed is projecting a 6.21 year-over-year increase. So I think that is interesting right now. Who's going to be right? Obviously, we are going to see. But there also have been talks with the regional bank news that Powell may even take a step back even more on the interest rate, the rate hikes at the next FOMC. We saw TNX sell off very sharply over the last few days as this bank news has kind of unfolded. And you can see here the 10-year just getting destroyed, now coming into this little BRB zone here. Of course, this all is probably going to change with CPI tomorrow, but something I wanted to point out, how this thing is just, after this kind of abandoned baby type situation, just boom, 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 and down she goes. So that's a little bit interesting, certainly. And the dollar as well is kind of just down and kind of stalling out here. So this is also interesting, but I'm not putting too much weight into it. Again, with CPI tomorrow, this could totally change, and the same thing goes for the price action on the market. So we're not really going to be doing too much projecting as far as tomorrow is concerned, but we'll go over a few things. And we've certainly had had a few interesting developments in the daily chart that we want to take note of. All right, so that being said, before we get into the daily chart, if you're enjoying the information and the content, please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. CPI print going to be higher, lower? Are we going to go up, down? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the market. And of course, this is not financial advice. Everything that I'm sharing with you guys, just my opinion for entertainment and education only. So let's get into it a little bit more. Now, two ways we could look at this. We've been watching this big trend line here that's been very important. Markets now closing under. We came up today, retested that first trend line, and then price pushed back down here. So this is interesting. It'll be interesting to see if this in fact is a true break. Now, of course, with the CPI, we could rally back up or we could really come back down. As far as that downside is concerned, I was talking about this, I believe, in the last video, that we'll have to keep an eye on this value area low here around this 373.76 area. That could be interesting, or we only come down into this base zone that we were in, that accumulation from earlier in the year in December. So I'm going to go to another view and take a look at that. We were talking about this being a potential area that we should watch for a downside target, as there's tons of liquidity in this zone where the accumulation came in from earlier in the start of the year. So we are below this downtrend. That's not the most encouraging sign. All things even now. Let's look here at the normal view that we've kind of been first starting with. And today on the price action, we had come up, back tested that trend, and pushed right back down, a little inverted BRB here to the downside. So, but now we're in this interesting area. Let's go to the accumulation. I think it was this one. Yes. Okay, so we were talking about this last time. We did go over some of this Wyckoff stuff. The retest, we got a higher retest here, and now we're having the markdown. So this is the same thing. Went here, and came in, retest, and then accumulation, markup, retest, and then markup again. Distribution, markdown, retest twice. That's fine, and then markdown again. So pretty typical cycle here playing itself out. And as I mentioned before, now we're right back in this zone where we started, and I'm gonna actually broaden this out because it is something I want to watch as we've come back into this area of known liquidity before. Now, of course, they can still push it down into here. That would make sense. Maybe we see another back test. It's a little hard to say, of course, with data, but certainly maybe even a back test of this 396.82, come back test that VOPC, and then head down again. So that's one thing I'll be watching. But this is just the typical cycle here, and I'm glad that we kind of got to watch the whole thing play out just in the last few months. And I think it's a great educational tool that we've been kind of tracking for everyone, and now we can see the whole thing kind of play itself out. So anyway, all right, so let's look a little bit more in depth into today's price action. We had pretty big swings. Some of these candles today on ES were 10-point swings, from candle to candle. So it was definitely a bit of a headache, a little, tricky to trade from my perspective. And I'm just trying to kind of, with the news with the regional banks, the IV, of course, today was jacked up. I only did 3 trades, 2 losses, 1 win. And I ended the day small red. After the 2 losses, of course, I was down quite a bit, but I was able to catch some of the long side action today, which was nice. All right, so let's go into today's price action really quickly. All right, so in the pre-market splash, I was kind of talking to the tank how normally I would be a little bit more bullish coming in today. It's very steep sell-off in Globex and pre-market coming down. However, I did not listen to myself. I also was kind of taking into account some of the news a little bit, and I think that personally messed with me. The news being, of course, with the regional banks, and I wasn't really sure, how all this was going to play itself out. However, a lot of them had a pretty nice dead cat bounce with the market today, and a lot of them, although down still over 40%, 30% in some cases, some of them, bounced pretty nicely intraday. I wouldn't play options in any of those names, not only due to the liquidity, but just because I don't want to get stuck in some random news, some halt, and then I'm really screwed. So not really my cup of tea. All right, so coming in, came here, bounced up. We came right back into this zone around that 380. Now 380 key level for the bulls to be able to hold. Came back, came real close to it. Didn't quite tag it, but we came right back into that zone. So double bottom area here, and then bulls came in, broke this downtrend line here, break of structure, came up, kind of cooled off a little bit here, and then had some profit taking. That's to be expected after a what was this 381 to 387 in the matter of about 20 minutes, or well, about 20 minutes or so. It came back right into this support here, from this area where we rejected a little bit of a falling wedge, then another break of structure. We broke out of that flying wedge. See, and even when we had come down, and I should have put this here, this was a higher low, this is a higher low, and even when we were forming this bull flag, it still, right before we broke out, was another higher low as well. So look at the wicks here. Again, I was mentioning that whippy price action in the morning, certainly giving me a headache, but nice bull flag breakout. And then I noticed here, we could not break up higher. Again, we tried to break out here. We broke over that 390 key level, as you guys know. So we had a failed break over that, pushed back in, and then just proceeded to make lower lower highs. So when I kind of noticed that we were just hanging out here, we couldn't move up higher, I started looking at that from a distribution type of perspective, and I actually had gotten long at some point, and I have to go back and look at the time, but I took some heat on that long here, but we came back and back tested this previous higher low. You could call it a double bottom here as well. Here, the second time we didn't get this is certainly a double bottom. This didn't come down low enough, so a little lower high. But this is right from where we broke out before. You can see reactions in pre-market as well, all along this area. So I held here. The 385.55 is also important to me as a key level, so I was watching that, as well as that 387.55. So those are really important levels to me, and of course that 390. So I'm watching those moving forward, of course. But here, then we pushed back up, and here's where I got out most of my longs, thankfully. But really just another lower high, and same situation again, where price just was kind of not really able to push higher here. It was really struggling, and I started to get that distribution type of vibe again from this price action, and I exited my longs, my last ones up in this area. I wasn't really trusting it coming into power hour, and I'm glad I did. Another break of this distribution structure, coming back down. Nice little retest here, coming right back out. A little bit of an ascending wedge forming, but we just come back up, retested the base here, BB, and a lower high, and then we sold off again. Was this a trade I was really willing to wait around for? No, it was fine. I just kind of wanted to just watch the market and see kind of what it was going to do, and try to get a bit of a rhythm with it, since I had those two losses earlier, shorting, and then luckily one win. But here we have a bit of an M pattern as well, kind of forming here. And of course, if we had really broken that 385.55 zone, this really would have sold a lot more, but luckily the bulls defended it. So like I said, as far as the CPI is concerned tomorrow, if expectations come in hotter, of course we're going to sell. We'll have to see how much we'll sell and really where we end up. I am interested in the longs around that 380, of course, and I'll be watching around 382 as well, and trying to get a sense for what's going on in pre-market after the data. So it's going to be a bit hard, but those are two definitely key levels that I'll be watching. The 385 pivot, 385.55 zone, of course, is important as well, and I'll be watching that, maybe to gauge some bullishness if we are still over that, or if we come into it. Another area where I might consider a long trade, but certainly over 390 would be very encouraging, and the longer we can hold over the 397.75 would be encouraging. And if we are holding that, my next level above is 390. So I mean, $3, it's not too bad, but we'll have to see. Again, I'm probably going to play it a little bit cautious, and with all the news with the regional banks and everything going on, I just want to be a little bit more risk off as we come into tomorrow as well. But I'll have a lot clearer point of view on what I'm thinking the game plan will be tomorrow if after data, so in pre-market. All right, so let's just take a quick look right here. Let me get this off. Let's just take a quick look at the lower time frames. All right, we are outside of value here on the 4-hour, so let's watch to see if they can get price over, all things even. Tomorrow we do have a nice confluence here on the 4-hour with the 20 and that downtrend. So if we, if it's early, after after CPI and it's later in the day and things have kind of settled down, if we come back out, that's definitely a short that I might consider taking. Again, today you can see how it worked out, but if bulls can break back over and hold, I would say that would be pretty encouraging for them. And then I'd watch to see what would happen if we come back and retest this previous consolidation that we had been watching for a bit of time. So that could be another area where I would consider a potential short, but considering that it would be back inside of value, then where's my risk? We'll have to see. It's going to come right back into 390, 390.87. I mean, again, it's $3, so it potentially is a move. I don't know if I would swing that, but it certainly is. It's tradable. It's not, it's not it's not the best, but it's not horrible. Let's just take a quick peek at the hourly. Hourly outside of value still as well. We've got VOPC around 397.80. Yeah, I mean, honestly, not too much. We're gonna have to see. Really, everything lies on the data print tomorrow. If we come in hot over 6, then expect that bearish sentiment to really come in. And if not, if it is in line, then it could be where it's going to take a little bit of time for the markets to kind of go over the report and kind of sift through the data before we really see a move. Or if it comes in lower than expected, we just might, rip tits and shoot right up. Either way, I'm going to be setting up a better game plan for the morning after the print, and I'll be able to judge kind of what I am projecting and thinking we might see. It's a little hard right now to kind of make any true kind of thoughts about where we might be going. Yeah, let's be careful tomorrow. I hope nobody's swinging calls or puts over the for the data, because we have no idea what it's going to be or how the market's going to react to it. But it should be interesting, and hopefully after data, the IV will settle. If you guys noticed today, a lot of the options contracts were very expensive because of the incoming information that we're about to get tomorrow morning at 8:30. So I hope this helped, and yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Certainly would love to hear it. That's pretty much all I have. I think tomorrow we'll have a lot clearer picture of the sentiment of the market. Now, certainly, of course, these are still all just lower highs being put in here, for a while. So still a bit downtrending, certainly a bit concerning as we looked under these daily trends. But we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. All right, I hope everybody has a good rest of your evening. Take care and have a